I felt wholly and fully responsible because here's an adult bringing me a problem, which means they must trust me so much. I must be capable if they're coming to me with this, because this is a parent. They've chosen me to handle this problem. So I trust you. So I took every bit of it on. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
Today we're talking about parenting, kinda. We're talking about parentification and enmeshment and emotional incest. The last one sounds kind of nasty and weird. I never like it, but it makes sense.
It's an important conversation to have.
Whenever you're going through something tough in life, your support system is your support system. That can be friends, that can be family. Sometimes that can be your own kids. But is there a limit to how much you talk about things with your kids? The short answer, the frank answer is yes. Yes, there is. I've got a lot of experience here. Paige does as well. We're going to talk about our experience with this, some things that we wished would have been done differently, research that we've done into the right and wrong way to go about this. And I think it's going to provide some clarity because a lot of people, without realizing it, are in this situation. So it's kind of a delicate discussion.
It is.
Stuff that we've never talked about before, but it's going to be a good one. Stick around for this. First things first, check out our website, twfo.com. That's twfo.com. We've got a blog over there. Comes out every Monday morning, or a newsletter. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, I've got a finicky newsletter that emails you sometimes it doesn't. It's got some kind of confirmation process where you have to confirm your email, and a lot of people don't get that.
And there's not anything that we can do on the back end to like push you through because there's like a legal thing about that. So you either get the blog or the newsletter, whatnot. It's on the website.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're trying. We don't know what the deal is. Sorry.
On our website, you can also check out our merch. Like Paige is rocking right now. We've got crew necks that are out there for the frigid weather that we're all encountering. We've got recovery rocks. These are really cool. It is an outward symbol for people to show that they appreciate the path that you've walked with them through addiction, through anything tough, actually. It's got our logo on the front. On the back, it says, "Thank you for being my rock." It's really cool. A lot of people order these. And I think it's an awesome way to show appreciation. Something that I didn't do that I wish I would have done just never really occurred to me.
We didn't know.
You don't have to make that same mistake. So thank you to everyone that orders those. We've also got stickers and hats and all kinds of stuff. Shirts as well. I think we've still got some shirts up there.
Yes, we do.
It's all on our website. We've also got a section for books. We've got books that we've read that have been helpful to us that maybe you'll also find helpful.
We update that a lot.
As we read books.
Pop up. That we think would be great for our listeners.
Yeah, you can also find out about our course, Independently Strong. Independently Strong was our best attempt at packaging what we'd learned and what we'd experienced in a way that could help other people. We didn't just want it to be our own experience. We wanted to make sure that it was locked tight with professional expertise as well. I feel like we don't say this, but we're not therapists. Like, I don't have a license in any of the stuff we discuss here. Our role as people with a show is to simply tease ideas out of you so that you can digest them and get you thinking. If it does anything at all, I hope it just gets you thinking. But we're not therapists, so we hired one to help us. Dr. Christopher Taylor is the clinical component of our course, and he provides research-backed evidence through social learning theory to discuss the things that we talk about. The course is it's our way at empowering you. It's rebuilding you and your self-esteem and your confidence and allowing you to make decisions again from a place of surety, not fear, and not questioning everything around you. It's going to walk you through things like boundaries, building self-awareness, how to communicate effectively when you can and cannot communicate. And it's all backed by real-world insight. It's got hours and hours of videos. It's got worksheets. It's got actionable ways that you can implement this stuff in your life. And it's also got a community component to it. There are calls right now with the community, other people that are walking through the course, and they're extremely beneficial. We are an alternative to things like Al-Anon. Our aim is simple. We're trying to help people live a life of your own choosing. Whether you stay or you go, your relationship status is completely irrelevant to us. We are concerned with rebuilding you.
Helping you live by your values and learn to trust yourself again so that you can figure out if you can or cannot trust somebody else.
Yeah, and you're going to live a life rooted in reality and make decisions based on that. It's really helpful. You can get 75% off of that course using the code Wheelies75 at checkout. That's Wheelies with an S at the end, 75 at checkout. Lastly, we've got a sponsor for today's show and every show we've done here for the last few months. Thank you to SoberLink. If you don't know what SoberLink is, it is a very high-tech very complicated device that makes things really, really simple for you. It is a breathalyzer. It doesn't look like a breathalyzer that I remember buying whenever we were like teenagers and seeing how high we could get the number to go whenever we were drinking. Did you ever play that game with me?
No.
Okay, well, I played it with my friends. Anyway,
I'm sure you did.
This is years beyond that, right? This thing uses military-grade facial recognition technology so that you know who's blowing into this thing. It picks up on your face and it knows who's blowing into it. It's also got tamper protection. You cannot mess with this thing. You cannot go in there and remove parts of it. It knows. It alerts everyone. And that's kind of a cool piece about this thing is that it's reporting functionality. You can set up contacts, whether that's an attorney or a counselor or a sponsor or your spouse or a group of people that you trust who know and trying to support you in your sobriety. It's a really great way to rebuild trust voluntarily. I don't think it's something you can force on people, but certainly a way that if you were someone like me and you're trying to rebuild trust in your life, this is a great way to take that equation. Are they drinking? Are they not? Completely out of the question. They will know because it alerts you. You schedule times that you blow into this thing and it lets them know, hey, so-and-so is sober. And it helps a spouse, I think, rebuild trust, begin to trust their instincts again. Because if it does show up that they were drinking, like, oh, I knew it because of the way that they were walking or talking, facial expressions, things that I used to do that I wasn't even aware of, that you were aware of. So it can be really beneficial in that way. Another great use of this is in custody agreements and custody battles. I think extremely important. You can get this thing in your custody agreements that someone has to blow clean, that they're sober before they can get access to children. As we will talk about today, probably the most important thing in your life is your children. And the environment that they're in is going to drastically affect who they become as adults. Making sure that there was someone who is of sound and sober mind is of utmost importance. And that's why it's trusted by over 200,000 people, and it is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. SoberLink has given our listeners a $50 off coupon by going to the website soberlink.com/wheels. Enter in your email address and they will give you a coupon. Again, it's soberlink.com/wheels. So thank you to SoberLink. All right, on to the topic today.
This is kind of, I guess it's almost like a part 2 of what we discussed last week. Last week was breaking generational patterns and stuff. This is kind of going to go into depth of what that meant. And we're going to break it out for you. We're going to discuss what it means to, what parentification means, what enmeshment means, what emotional incest means, which that term I actually learned about many, many years ago during my own research, going through some things, and it was very eye-opening to me. And it sounds weird, but it happens a lot in these situations. It happens a lot whenever you are in a relationship with somebody where there is a lot of chaos and you feel unheard and you feel lonely and you have children. You're gonna go. You may go down a path that might feel beneficial for you and your kids at the time, but later on down the line, it may be doing more harm than good.
Yeah, and I want to preface all of this by saying this isn't to beat anybody up. It's just to raise awareness to something that you probably have an inkling could be a problem, but we're going to talk about how big of a problem it can become. When you're going through it, like really going through something, your support system, like I said, is your support system. It's always been your support system. And to some degree, that does mean your children. It's not to say that your children can't ever be your support, but they shouldn't be your main source of support. And that certainly shouldn't be an age-inappropriate conversation that you're having with your kids. So I don't want anyone to feel completely guilty when they leave here, but I do hope that anyone who's been kind of going down this path without recognizing it certainly recognizes it now.
Well, you know how we're a growth-oriented podcast.
Yes, we are.
We're a growth-oriented community. We're trying to make that community more growth-oriented. This is one that's really big that I think will help people look within, right? And say, what can I do to change my situation to help my children, not only myself, but my children in the future? Am I doing these things? Am I going too far? Maybe I need to take a step back and reevaluate how I am having discussions with my kids at all different age levels and see what happens. So we're going to talk about like what each of these things mean. why this matters, and then if you've done these things, how can you change, and how can you challenge your thoughts, and how can you do that? We're not perfect parents. We do things all the time where we're like, oh God, that was not okay.
Probably shouldn't have had that
Probably
conversation.
shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't have said that. But the difference is that we recognize it, and then we apologize for it. But we'll discuss that down the line on what you can do to actually change this if you feel like you've gone too far.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So what is it? I think that simply put, this is in my own words anyway.
Well, what is what? We're going through 3 different things.
Let's go through the first one.
Parentification is the first one. Yeah.
Right. Giving your kids roles, and this can happen in a multitude of ways, which we'll discuss, but giving your kids roles that are made for parents and adults, right? Your parents take on the role of, or your children take on the role that a parent ought to have.
Yeah.
It leads to a child more or less missing out on their childhood, feeling responsible for roles that they probably shouldn't at a certain age and in life. Like the simplest form of this, I've read a lot of memoirs of people who have growing up at a certain time in life or under certain circumstances. If a parent leaves or abandons the family, let's say a father leaves the family, and you've heard these stories where it's like, I had to raise my younger siblings. Mm-hmm. That's kind of some of the roles that you'll take on.
Yeah.
But it can also be taking on the emotional support for other siblings or the emotional support for the family in general. Mm-hmm. You're taking on the role of a parent as a child.
Yeah. Which is complicated because you have to remember that children don't know how to regulate their emotions yet at all. Like they don't understand their emotions. They don't understand how to handle them or deal with them. So when we're asking them to do what adults do, they don't have the tools to deal with that or manage that. You know, our jobs as adults is to help them learn how to regulate their emotions so that they can do it as adults through modeling, and then going through things. But if you're asking them to do things that they're not emotionally prepared for, that's going to keep them stalled, you know, until they're adults.
Yeah. And I know that sometimes this is by necessity. Don't get me wrong. And I know that it's not always bad either. I know that some families do what they have to do to survive. You might have been someone that had to babysit your siblings when you were really young. You might have been someone that had to get dinner ready because your parent was working 2 jobs because they were a single parent. I'm not talking about things like that necessarily, even though that can have effects, and like research has shown that does have effects. If that's something that you
depend on them on a lot, that's not healthy for the child. They need to be a kid.
But sometimes parents, I mean, I think that it's, like I said, it's survival. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Right.
You know, and I get it. I know that not everyone intends to do these things.
No.
I was talking about the dangers of doing these things. If you could possibly avoid them, avoid them.
Yeah.
Walk us through. I'd like you whenever you're doing the outlines.
Okay. Well, you had something up that you wanted to write about that you wanted to read about.
Oh,
is this about parentification? Or
yeah, I was just like, where did these concepts, ideas come from? Because I've heard the terms forever, but I didn't know the origin of them.
Yeah.
Dr. Salvador Minuchin, I don't know if I said that right, a family therapist in the 60s, talked about it first, and then it was expounded upon Spark and Nagy in the 70s, but it's a role reversal in which child's forced to take on adults' responsibilities, either emotionally or physically, to care for the parents or siblings at the expense of their own development. Okay.
So I just wanted to go through just a few examples that that's not your child's responsibility.
Parentification.
Yeah. Mediating conflict with adults around you, fulfilling your parents' lost dreams. You know, so if you're trying to push your child into something that is your dream and they don't really necessarily want to do it, that's kind of part of it too. Keeping dangerous secrets for a loved one, raising your siblings, or keeping the entire house clean. That's what we were talking about earlier, like the certain things that they would have to do around the house if they're not able to be a kid. Like, of course, they need to have jobs, and it's okay to have responsibilities and things like that. Like, that's totally necessary for children to learn. But there's a line here if like you, and I think that we all get confused with the line sometimes. Sometimes we go too far to the other side, but that's kind of part of it. Whenever you find the middle ground, whenever you go to the other side, and then stepping up to fill the shoes of an absent parent, which is what you just discussed. Yep. Regulating the emotions of adults around you, parenting your parents, upholding the same beliefs. Like if you want your children to uphold the same beliefs as you, we want to be able, since whenever we started having kids, we decided we want them to have the beliefs that they want to have. We give them that freedom. It's not something that's forced on them.
Right.
And then telling lies to uphold a family image. Those are just a few examples. And of course, we all do some of this stuff to a small extent, but if it goes too far, what can happen? I want to talk about what can happen. They can grow up too fast.
Way too fast.
They learn to prioritize others at the cost of their own needs. And
this is almost instilling codependent type behaviors in them at a very young age.
Right. And as adults, they tend to, they struggle with people pleasing, burnout, and feeling responsible for fixing others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And this is, why are you looking at me? She's looking at me because I went through a great deal of this. Something I've always avoided neatly here talking about this on the show. First time I've ever really talked about it, and I will be as gentle as possible in all of this. Listen, my parents' life, and particularly my mother's life, has not been easy. And she had it very difficult growing up. And I know that we only show up as a parent with the tools that we were given, right? So like, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as someone with perfect tools. We just make the best of what we have. Are we going to make mistakes? You're absolutely right. We're going to make mistakes. I think the importance, though, is acknowledging that stuff and doing your best to repair it as time goes on. In the moment, you feel like you're doing what you have to do. So my parents had a separation. We'll just call it that, a separation when I was younger. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice. It was very, very toxic and chaotic. And I became the emotional support for my mother at a really young age, like probably.
This is more on the enmeshment side. So we're going to go through that too.
Yeah. And as far as the parentification side, like being left to do things that you're probably not ready to do, that was absolutely the case. Whenever she was going through her struggles, me and my siblings were oftentimes left alone. And I mean, alone, like not just like a day or a couple hours, like a week or two, left alone to do things that we weren't prepared to do. And we kind of just had to do and just figure it out. And my older brother, we leaned on him a lot because he was older, had a job to like give us money for like basic things like lunch, and like left to go to school on our own. And I never really made it very often. Was given like truancy and all kinds of issues in court and whatnot. I got in a lot of trouble. My grades were terrible, suffered, very, very, very much as they were going through this. And so if you're listening to this and you're going through this type of situation, this is a possibility. I will just put it that way. It's a possibility that your kids could end up in this situation. And like, I get it. I know that you're hurting. I know that you're going through the roughest time in your entire life. And it feels like there's no way out. If I could go back in time, like I would just implore my own mother, like your kids matter here. Like they matter. They need someone. Even though you do too, they need someone. Like that's your job as a parent, is to take those bullets for your kids. It's your job to step up and rise above whatever it is you're going through. That's what we do when we become parents. Is it fair? No. Is it hurt? Yeah, I'm sure it's really harmful, and it hurts, and it feels like you're alone and you can't do it, but you can. You absolutely can. You run the risk of leaving your kids feeling like they're responsible for everyone else. So now as an adult, this carried on in my life. And I feel like I'm responsible for everyone and everything to this day. I'm responsible to make sure that everyone's having a good time. I'm responsible for making sure that everyone's happy all the time. And if you had to ask me what I need right now, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I have no idea. I've numbed that for so long. I have no clue what my needs even are. And so that's what it looks like as an adult. And I'm working through this stuff. I don't blame my parents for anything. Do not get me wrong. I have never sat there and said, because of you, I am never at any point. I'm responsible for me. But it makes life a living hell sometimes. Yeah,
it makes it really, really difficult. Yeah. So enmeshment is when there are no emotional boundaries between parent and child. It's when it's it's when you make your child your best friend or the sole source of emotional validation. And this happened a lot. And then expecting your children to agree with you, side with you, understand your struggle like as an adult would. And this can affect kids because they can feel guilty for wanting to be independent. They can feel guilty for wanting to have their own thoughts. They can feel guilty for standing up for themselves because they've been raised that if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. You have to agree with me. If you don't, shame on you. And it's like, that's not what children need to learn. They need to learn to have their own thoughts and opinions and be able to speak it in a healthy way and have that safe space with their parents to discuss it. And then they grow up thinking that their role in the relationship is to manage emotions of others. Matt did this with me for very, very long time. Anytime that I would get upset or I would cry or I would have something that I need to talk about, he felt like he either had to fix it or he would get really mad about it because he didn't want to hear it. It was like a triggering thing for you.
Which is horrible for you. But
it is. It was not good for me. I knew why you did it. And I also gave you grace there and I helped you, through that. Babe, it's okay.
I'm not sad for me. I'm just sad for you.
You allowed me space in other areas. You did. You allowed me space in other areas. This was one that was really difficult and challenging. And like I said, since I knew where it came from, because we've been together since we were 14, I've seen a lot of things, It's okay.
When your parent, the person that you're supposed to be relying on as a child for emotional guidance and support and sort of like modeling how I respond and how I react, is coming to you with their most vulnerable and personal problems about their own relationship, their fear of abandonment that came from them as a child, and how their spouse, your parents, right, in this case, my father, was doing this to her. I felt wholly and fully responsible because here's an adult bringing me a problem, which means they must trust me so much. I must be capable if they're coming to me with this, because this is a parent. They've chosen me to handle this problem. So I trust you. So I took every bit of it on and went back to my room and decided here's how I'm going to fix it. Here's how I'm going to fix this problem, And so you end up validating a parent with whatever they're going through, and they're generally oversharing. They're your father has got other girlfriends. He said this to me. He's done this. It's his drinking. It's all this other stuff. It's his party. He doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't care about you or the family. He only cares about himself. And what they're doing is they're expressing how they're feeling, and then however you feel is fine. It's just inappropriate to do with a child, because what I took from that was that I am not only responsible, but I'm also capable of fixing you and changing however you feel. And it carried on through my life. I didn't have a platform to say, I don't want to deal with this, because it was my parent. You don't talk back to your parents. You don't tell them what you will and will not hear. I was a child.
Well, it also comes back to what I said earlier, is that they expect you to take their side.
Yes.
You didn't have a voice, because anytime that you would say something against what they were saying, it was like, no, how dare you? Don't you know that I've had a rough time and that makes me feel awful that you don't agree? I mean, you didn't have any option but to agree and try to fix the situation.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to take that on into adulthood, because that's what you were trained to do.
Yeah. And then as you're an adult, anytime that you would get upset, I would get upset, because to me, what it reminded me of and what it felt like was whenever my mom would come to me and bring me all these issues. I mean, every time the phone would ring, I would be on the phone with her for 2 hours. Talking her off of a cliff, calming her down, validating her and trying to keep her calm. And then I would get so frustrated, because all I wanted to do was be 16. I just wanted to be a kid, or 15 years old. I just wanted to be a kid. I didn't want to deal with this shit. I didn't want to deal with it.
That's something your spouse comes to you for.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that if I were to come to you for things that I was dealing with, I would need your validation as my husband.
Just two adults,
as my partner. Right. It's two adults having a conversation and a partnership. And then if you disagreed, that's fine, but we would talk it out.
Yeah. I feel like I got burned out on fixing other people's stuff. And then so what was screwed up about this, and what chokes me up, is to think that whenever you have an actual problem, a real problem later in life, and you come to me with it, that I have this sort of emotional trigger that I cannot process it and I can't deal with it. I don't have the time for this. This takes me back to being a kid, and I'm tired of being responsible for other people's problems, when it's nothing more than my wife talking to me about something you're going through. And I cannot imagine how that felt for you to be turned away, or if you did express it to me, here I am just trying to fix it,
Yeah.
Just give you solution after solution. I know that guys, we get,
it's a fixer thing. It's pretty standard.
But this came ingrained
we know where yours came from
a long period of time. And
right.
It will severely inhibit their relationships whenever they get older. It will make it very, very difficult for them to connect with other people. It becomes very difficult for them to hold space for other people having emotions in their life, because they've been trained at a young age that you're going to fix this. You're responsible for this. This is what your job is in life. This is your role. Your role is hear, listen, validate, fix. And it screwed with me. It screwed with me a lot. It still screws with me. I'm still unwinding a lot of this stuff. Yeah. And you get really, really burned out. It's the only way I can put it. Like just burned out. Like if you've been burned out at work and you're just like, I cannot take another email about that.
Yeah.
It becomes that way emotionally burned out. And another consequence is that whenever you're dealing with other people's issues and you're not given a platform, like I can't think of many times where I was asked, how do you feel about all this?
Yeah.
What are you going through?
Right.
What are your opinions on this? And even if I tried to express them, if they weren't what she wanted to hear, I was vilified for it. I was ostracized for it. I was, told like, no, that's not the way you should see it. You should see it this way because this is how I feel about it. So you feel like you don't have a voice. So then what you do is you just sort of shunt your own emotions. You just kick them down and you sort of train yourself to think, I have to be here for others, not myself. My emotions don't matter. My feelings about things don't matter. So you just kind of squash stuff. And so you just kind of numb. And I think that did some of my drug use come from this? Probably some of it for sure, because all that stuff gets bottled up. And like we say in here all the time is that emotions buried alive never die. As you're pushing this stuff down, I had to deal with it in some way. I had to feel okay in some way. So if I wasn't talking about it, it just came out in other ways. Like think about it whenever we're younger. How often did I ever talk to you about this stuff? Never. So burned out on it. And then I couldn't even identify my own feelings about it because I didn't have an adult talking to me about how are you feeling throughout all this.
But it was normalized too, though. You normalized it. It was minimized too. Like it was just.
And then I wanted to be like the big man, I wanted to be like the strong one. Mm-hmm. So I convinced myself that being stoic about it was the best way to handle it, which was, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. You can talk to me about this. You can talk to me about anything you want. Because I felt like anything else would have been hurting her. I felt like anything else would have been like pushing her away, like fulfilling her abandonment fears. Like, oh, I'm being abandoned. I felt like I loved her and I wanted her to know that she was cared for. And in doing so, I had to sort of forego my own emotions about everything. Yeah. And it trains that at a really young age. I think adults can handle this stuff. I don't think kids can. I don't think that you have the maturity. You don't have the...
You don't have
the skills or tools for it.
No, not at all.
So if you're going through something like this, like please consider...
Just be mindful.
The types of conversations that you're having and what you're bringing to your kids. I know that you're going through a lot. This is why communities exist. This is why it doesn't matter where you get community somewhere. Get it. Talk to other adults that are going through it, not your children. If they're young, not your children. If you've got kids that are way older and you guys have a relationship where you feel like, listen, they're 40.
Right.
That's different.
Right. When you are both
not in their developmental ages though.
Yeah, no, right. Right. I'm glad that you made that point. That was something I was going to make. So this kind of like goes into the emotional incest definition or what that is. And that's whenever your parent unconsciously treats the child as a replacement for a romantic partner. And you really just went into this where you were saying that the child feels obligated to make the parent feel better and all these things. But this happens in these types of relationships because if you're with an alcoholic or an addict, they're an unequal partner. They're not meeting your emotional needs. They're not making you feel safe. They're not meeting a lot of your needs. So the closest thing that you get to is your children because this is something you created and you brought into the world. So you think, okay, this is who I need to go to now. Or it just happens. It's not really necessarily who you think you should go to. You just end up going to them because
they're drawn to them.
You're drawn because you're in the same home. They're in the same, y'all created the children together. So you think, all right, this is who I'm going to talk to. But it leads them to grow up doing what Matt did and feel responsible for fixing other people's issues and their emotions or, turning to drugs and alcohol like you did.
Independence becomes something that's really, really difficult too. When you grow up sort of with the line blurred between parent and confidant, mm-hmm. It's really, really, really tough once you open up the door to your personal life, like your deepest fears and desires and all the adult stuff that you're going through. You cannot go back to then parenting your kids. And if you are someone who knows that your kids still need structure, they're never going to listen to you again. They're never going to take you seriously again. You lose the role of parent at that point. And so that creates a lot of friction too, mm-hmm. later down the line.
Oh, yeah.
It's like my mom in years past had wanted to give me some kind of like parental advice. And it's like, I'm not taking you seriously. Like I've been giving you advice since I was a kid. Like mm-hmm. I'm not listening to this crap. I know you. right?
Yeah.
It's like you kind of lose that too. So like consider that for a moment, that you kind of give up, you forego that role of like guidance or mentor or any of that stuff. And like it almost feels like independence is discouraged in some way.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe some of
Absolutely.
that's control. Maybe not everyone's going through that. It wasn't my situation for sure. There was this control element where it's like, no, you're mine. You belong to me.
Well, that's what I'm just going to say, that this is very common for narcissistic personality disorder. People will think that their children are an extension of them instead of their like own individual person. And with our children, this has been very big for me. Like I will raise them to be independent and be who they want to be, not who I want them to be. I want them to be able to make their own decisions. I want them to make their own mistakes. I want them to figure out what they want in their relationships. I want them to figure out their own jobs. You know, yeah, we'll guide them, but you are not my property. I am not here to be like your dictator. I am here to be your parent, a safe space for you and help guide you. It's a guidance. But a lot of narcissistic parents will do the like, you are my property. You are who you are. I'm going to raise you for the rest of your life. I am going to control you. I'm going to make sure that you do what I tell you to do.
Yeah. Like as a kid, how it felt was like, I felt like I was born to be sort of like this little,
it's a chest.
Like it's like little emotional like safety blanket.
Yeah.
And I just got dragged wherever they wanted me to go and talk to whoever they wanted to talk to. And then the moment that I try to have any kind of independence or an opinion about something, like, no, so I'm your parent, I'm your mom. Oh man, it can really screw a relationship up. Like this, you will, as like what your kids are going to go through is they're not going to understand what their role in a relationship is. Mm-hmm. Like they ever get a place that's at the table to have like an adult conversation. They're always going to feel responsible for other people's emotions. That's what you run the risk of doing as they grow older and they get into relationships. And this, I can speak for myself. Like you're almost like guaranteed to have problems at that point, because it took me a long time to understand that like you're an individual with your own issues. It's almost like I started to repeat the pattern.
Oh yeah.
With your own stuff that has nothing to do with me. And you're not asking me to fix anything when you bring me a problem.
No.
You know, and
very rarely.
So for so long, I was trying to manage you. I was trying to fix you. I was trying to control you.
Yes.
The same thing that had been modeled to me and taught to me, like, this is your job in life, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes so long to unwind this shit.
Oh yeah. It does take a long time to unwind it. But like, and I think about me, and this is something that I feel like I've done for you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. We've had this conversation for a long time, is that I was always very validating of you. I always wanted to hear you. I always wanted to be there for you and be that partner for you, even when we were younger. And I think a lot of it was because I knew where you came from and that you weren't heard at all. Like you were not being heard from the parental figures in your home or from role models and stuff. But as your girlfriend or as your spouse and partner going through our relationship, I felt like that was something that I did for you. And I don't know if that's...
You've always been the person in my life that I always needed. Always.
I wasn't asking for that, but thank you.
No, but that's what you have been for me. That's an honest, truthful statement. You've always been that person that I didn't get that as a kid. You've always given me some of that.
I wanted to be your safe space. I wanted to be the person, I guess, to just let you know that you are loved and you are cared for and your feelings do matter. And, you know, I will be there to hear you out. And I think that what was difficult is that, you know, it wasn't reciprocated all the time because that's what you were trained.
Yeah.
Trained to do.
Yeah. So just watch the conversations that you're having. Like, I know that you're going through hell. I know that it's really difficult to deal with someone who is neglecting you and abandoning you. And I know it's tough too, to look at your children and say, they're doing the same thing to you guys. Do you not see it? Do you not get it? And it's almost like you want to start like this, like movement. It's like anti-dad movement where it's everyone get on and gang up on him. But if you really think about what you're doing there, you're trying to control the narrative for your own sake a lot of the time and not just for your kids. Because if you really look, if that person is that bad, is that someone that you want raising your kids anyway? Yeah, like you want someone to change so badly that you're willing to like run this like PR campaign against them. But if you really feel that strongly about it, then it's not the worst thing in the world that they don't have a direct influence on your kids on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So who's it really for? Who's it really about?
Right.
It's a fear of abandonment. And so you try to get everyone together in an attempt to get this person back to you, back to the home, back as this, wonderful partner. But people make the decisions they want to make, man. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I wish someone just would have set us aside and what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about this?
And that's what we're going to go through. I want to talk about what are age appropriate conversations to have with your children, and how honest do you need to be? Because we talk about being honest with our kids all the time.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes I feel like, or sometimes it does go too far. It does with this. It makes it, whenever you want validation from your children, or when you want to talk bad about your partner, talk honest about your partner, but there's a way to do it that isn't necessarily influencing your children. It's just letting them know that you're protecting them by telling them the truth about your partner. Like, it sounds complicated, but there's like a fine line on how to communicate it and how to talk about it.
There is. There's a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah. Like, it's not good to just be quiet about it and thinking that you're protecting your kids, but it's not good to spill all of the guts, spill all of your honest truth feelings to your children, because then that goes to the other side.
Yeah.
So there's a middle ground.
And people have asked us a lot, how do you talk to your kids about this sort of thing? I don't have experience knowing what that looks like. Well, not really.
We kind of do. Not within parent issues, but within other relationship issues. Yeah, we do have experience with how we discuss how we talk to our children.
Like with me and you, I don't, and then in my own home, I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you what not to do. That for sure. I can tell you don't do that.
Right. But we also have been very honest with our children about you and what you went through.
Sure.
And what you've done in the past.
Yeah,
and
we have honest conversations with them about that.
And how you were in active addiction.
I guess what I'm thinking of is, if you're going through a separation or a divorce right now, and you've got kids, and you have really, really hard days where you feel like you're completely alone, and I cannot believe this person has wrecked our family. I can't believe what they've done. Refrain from bringing your kids downstairs and venting to them. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel like you're involving them. And I think a lot of times it starts off as I need to check on the kids. But if your emotions are too high and you don't have an outlet for this stuff with other adults, you are going to lose it at some point, and you're just going to be sitting there bashing their parent. Yeah. Remember that as a child, you don't want to hate either of your parents. You love them both. Let your kids decide based on how that person treats them, if they're good for them or not, or how they've treated you at a certain level. At a certain age, kids can understand, did you treat my mom terribly?
Absolutely.
Or things like that. But when they're little, they don't know they love you both. They don't want to feel like they've got to be put in a situation where they've got to pick or choose or hear your case versus theirs to decide who they're going to hate.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah. That's what I had. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't call your kids and steal hours of their time and tell them how awful their parent is.
Right.
Don't do that. And it's all based on how you were treated, not how I was treated. Mm-hmm. I was always treated fine.
Yeah.
And do I agree with everything that my dad did? No, I don't.
Right.
But that's between them.
Yes.
Not me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my job to sit there and fix romantic issues. I heard stuff and stories that I should have never heard as a kid. Mm-hmm. Dragged into the deepest part of your parents' life, personal life.
Yeah.
Areas you never want to have to hear as a kid. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was ever intentional. I think it was just someone who's really hurt, and they felt like they didn't have anywhere else to go. Again,
though, impact matters, not the intent.
Yeah, man, I've got into it with people on social media all week about that. And I want to
get into that. We already had an episode on that.
Intent, man. Intent, right? Just because I didn't mean to doesn't mean it didn't impact you. Doesn't matter. If it makes it easier to forgive whenever you can understand intent. Did they mean to hurt me? Did they didn't? That's a different conversation. The impact is all the same. The impact it's still going to impact you.
Yeah.
If someone ran me over with their car and they didn't mean to, it'd be easy to forgive them, but I've still got a broken leg.
Yeah. You still have to deal with that.
If they meant to, I probably wouldn't forgive him right away, and I would still have a broken leg. I still have a broken leg.
Yeah.
You still have...
The impact matters.
You still have a broken soul. You've been crushed by this thing. It doesn't change that. it doesn't change that. So while I know it wasn't necessarily intentional, I think some of it kind of was, as someone's trying to like prove their case, like in a court of law.
Yeah, I was
almost.
going to say.
Like, this is what you should believe because of XYZ. You become a salesman for your perspective in a separation.
Well, it just boils down to being emotionally immature.
That's what it really is.
You know, it's like an adult and with a childlike mind that never learned how to regulate their emotions.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us have that problem. And that's what we're here for, is to help you learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And help you be there for your kids and teach them how to regulate their emotions better.
So how do we talk to kids?
Okay. So kids will sense when something's wrong. Like it's common. They're in your house. They're going to know. They're going to know. And then when we hide the truth, it can actually make them feel even more anxious or like it's their fault because it's not being discussed. It's being swept under the rug. And then we're teaching them that, okay, we don't talk about things. Well, we need to talk about things, but at age appropriate levels.
Right. There's two extremes here. There's don't say anything. There's say way too much.
Right.
Both are bad.
Right. And there's a middle ground. And I feel like I was raised pretty well with the middle ground of discussing things. I mean, of course, there were times where things were like overly discussed. It wasn't excessive. It wasn't excessive though. And it didn't really impact me that much at all. I mean, honestly, it really didn't. And then, there were times when things would probably be shoved under the rug, but a lot of times there was a lot of like middle ground. So I was pretty appreciative of that within my household. But let's like talk about kids that are ages, 4 to 8, younger really kids young. That can like understand things, and something's going on in your house. Maybe, you have a partner, the dad is having, is not doing so great, but maybe they're trying to get better. You can say something like, daddy's having a hard time right now and he's working on making better choices. And you can reassure them that it's not their job to fix it and that they're safe. But if you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. Make it about them and not you. This is going to apply with all of it, at any age with your children when they're developing. Make it about them. How are they feeling? What do they want to talk about? Do they feel like they can talk to you as a safe parent? Like, do they have that ability to say, hey, this is how I feel about it? Or are they going to be afraid to speak up because then you might lash out at them and say, like, how dare you feel that way? You're not supposed to feel that way. You need to feel this way. That's what you dealt with, right? Like It was like you couldn't really speak up. So it's always got to be about them and how they're feeling.
Yes.
So if you have problems or trouble with like really getting down to the nitty gritty of this and like how to do it, make it about them. I mean, that's how we need to be parenting anyway. It needs to be about them. What are they feeling? What do they need? Not necessarily what we need. What do they need?
If you were 6 years old, what would you need to hear?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, in all these situations, let's just assume that someone has been lying and sneaking around and blowing through finances and they're in and out of treatment. Maybe they've got another girlfriend or something like that. Like all that, all the same, the explanation is still dad's having a really hard time right now.
Yeah.
Working on making better choices.
We're working on it. We're working on things.
It is your job as a parent to shield them from that. That is your job. Your job is to be the bulletproof vest for the real shit that is actually going on that will come out later. Right?
Yes, at age appropriate times.
At 6?
At 6, no.
Doesn't need to come out.
No.
Just doesn't.
No. Because they're not going to understand. Like I said, they don't even understand their emotions. They don't even know how to tie their shoes typically, It's not the deep stuff that they need to hear about yet.
So age appropriate for that level.
So older kids, 9 to 12, this is our kids. It's more detailed, but you're still kind of protecting them from the deeper stuff. Like dad is struggling with something, but we have people that are helping him and it's not something that you need to worry about, but do you have any questions about what's going on? Again, you keep it about them and how they're feeling and not about you. And if you want to add a little bit more details at this age, I feel like that you can, as long as you are doing it from, I think, a more emotionally stable perspective where it's not from anger. Like, I think it's important for us to show children that we have emotions as well. We get angry, we get sad, we get happy, we get all these things. But when it's an important conversation like this, maybe make it more just like, how do you feel about it? I want to know how you feel about it. Yeah, it makes me sad, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, like I'm not telling anyone to not feel their feelings.
Absolutely
I'm not telling anyone to not in
fake
some
it.
way. Yeah, don't sit there and fake it. But in some ways, like your job is to shield that and have that emotionally mature conversation with them. Emotional mature at their age.
At their age, yes.
To be able to say what's going on in a way that makes sense for them. here's the scariest thing as a kid. When you're told all this stuff, the feeling of instability that you get, and your kids are going to want to fix it. That's the first thing they're going to want to do if you take it too far. They're going to want to say, even if they don't feel like it's their responsibility, they're going to feel responsible. Even if they feel like it's not their fault, they're going to feel somewhat at fault because I can fix this. I can step up. I can do it. I can make mom happy.
You know, it also depends on your child too, because our children are very different. And we had...
Yeah, there's one outside right now breaking bottles in the street.
What?
Well, not the street, in the...
Like what kind of bottle? Glass?
Yeah, he's going to be cleaning that up here in a minute. I've been watching him.
Okay, well, we should have almost... Okay.
No. He's going to get a dustpan here in a minute.
Yeah, but...
he's going to sweep all that stuff up.
Wow, okay.
He's out there with his friends.
I'm not happy about that. He knows better. Okay, anyway.
You ever broke glass as a kid?
No, I would have gotten in deep
ever.
shit. I would have gotten in trouble for that. Now, you did anything you wanted to. Remember, you did not have...
We were boys, man.
But you didn't have parents around.
You don't know what it's like to want to be destructive.
Hey, don't
it's fun.
touch it.
Dude, he'll be fine.
Oh my God, Matt.
If he gets
okay,
cut,
this is what you're for. This is we're complete opposites when it comes to parenting. When it comes to shit like this.
He's going to be cleaning it up.
Maybe my brother did that a little bit because he
100% did.
Yeah, he did that. So anyway, we had a conversation with our kids, and they're so different. Their personality is different, but we had a family discussion about some heavy stuff that was going on, and one child did not take on our emotions. That child was more like, okay, cool story, bro. Basically, it was more of just like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And the other one, I had gotten a little emotional during this conversation, and I could see it in his eyes that he just wanted to hug me and he wanted to fix it. And he felt responsible and he felt like, what can I do to make it better? And I had to reassure him very quickly that, look, mom is just feeling her feels right now. And I'm really sad about this. And it has nothing to do with you. And it's just the situation at hand. And I'm just, I'm sad. It was very open, but I never once made it his responsibility to fix my feelings. And I never want my children to ever feel like they need to fix I don't want them to validate me. I don't want them to be my comfort. I don't want that. I want them to understand that I still have emotions too. And it's okay. And I appreciate you wanting to hug me. That's sweet. It's like a kindness. It's a natural human nature, human thing to do, a reaction. But it also made me feel like, ooh, I need to pause real quick and let him know that it's okay that I feel this way and he doesn't need to fix it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yep. I
okay.
do. I think the greatest gift you can give your kids is modeling how to process emotions. If you have trouble with that, this is what therapy is for. This is what our course is for. This is what all the tools that are out there to help you do this are for. Because there's nothing scarier than watching the person that you depend on for life, basically, not knowing what to do. Not knowing what to do, because that means if you don't know, then you can't teach me.
But it's okay to teach.
How am I going to know?
But it's okay to teach your kids that you don't know. There are many times that I'm like, I don't know. And we do that with all these big, deep, heavy conversations that we have about things that are going outside. It's like, we don't know if this is the right thing to do, but this is what we feel is best right now.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
That's fair. I think you ought to have some kind of an idea. And if you don't, get one. Get some kind of an idea, y'all. We are adults and we have children. It is our job to do this. We owe it to them. We owe it to ourselves to be able to learn how to do this kind of stuff. There's nothing scarier than, as a kid, seeing your parent go through it and feeling like, oh, shit. I don't know how to fix this. We're supposed to learn this stuff. Some of it comes through life and your friends and whatnot and your spouse, marriage, but a lot of that starts early. And how your parents react to things. Like if your parent was one that was, when he was working on a car or something like that, couldn't find a wrench, starts throwing things around the garage. Okay, that's okay. That's how you respond to things, because you just get angry when you can't figure it out.
That was you.
As opposed to being calm, being like, dang, I hate when I can't find stuff, but I'm just going to keep looking for it, or go get a new tool.
I mean, we do that occasionally, though, still. It's not
Everyone's
like
human.
Everybody's human. We all do that.
You better have the right idea in mind.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, that's where the apologies come in, and you say, ooh, I'm sorry I reacted that way. Sure. Instead of just allowing it to happen or making excuses for it, to say like, oh, this is just how I handle things. No, you're acting like a child. I would expect a child to handle it like that all the time. But as an adult, own your shit and freaking say I'm sorry, and don't, you don't need to be impulsive. Children are impulsive. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
adults, we're supposed to learn not to be impulsive.
Yeah, it's our job. It's our job.
Yeah. So like with teenagers, you can be honest, more honesty, but still some boundaries of like, there are some things I'm going through that are really tough and I'm handling them. If you ever want to talk, I'm here for you.
Quick thing. At each age we're talking about, you're going to get more questions too.
You will.
So be prepared on how you're going to answer those questions. From a 9 to 12-year-old, they're going to say something like, well, why can't we see them right now? Why can't we see dad right now? And you're going to have to become prepared with some kind of a statement to say, he's going through a lot. Or if it's your wife, whoever, it doesn't matter, gender neutral, right? Whoever it is, they're going through a lot. They're having to figure some things out with their own life. I don't think it's best that they're spending a lot of time with you right now. It's not because they don't love you. It has nothing to do with that. You are deeply and dearly loved. It's just not the safest place for you right now. They may not understand what that means, but you can be sort of descriptive, right? Having trouble staying sober, I think, is fair. When people are not sober, they tend to make some poor decisions sometimes. I want to make sure that you're in a safe place. Like we talked about SoberLink, that's a great tool for something like this because you can blame it on the SoberLink. They step in to take that from you, right? When your kids are going somewhere where they're supposed to be because the person's sober.
Yeah.
If they're not, and if you don't have this kind of situation, you have age-appropriate conversations. As they get older, your kids are, kids grow up faster now than ever. In some ways not, but in some ways, like when it comes to drama and wanting to know what's going on with stuff, social media type, that sort of thing, they're going to ask questions like, well, what are they doing? They cheat on you? Are they lying? You don't have to divulge every detail. And listen, everyone's relationship with their kids is different. I'm not telling you what to say and what not to say necessarily. Use your best judgment and just think about a kid like me. They got all of it. And we know that that's not good. So it's somewhere between the two. It's somewhere between not saying anything. It's somewhere between telling them every last detail of everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Use your best judgment.
So here are just some things of what not to do. Don't dump your adult worries on your kids. Don't say, I don't know how we're going to pay the bills this month. If you're having financial issues, it could be more of like, money's tight right now. So we're making some adjustments, but that's my job to handle. I actually asked our child recently, like I had to ask her, I was like, why or how? Okay. Have I ever done anything to make you worry about your safety or if you're being supported or, have we ever made finances or anything like that? Because, we're open. We talk about a lot of things at age appropriate levels. And I just wanted her take on it. And she's like, no. She's like, no, I feel fine. Like everything's okay. And I was like, okay, cool.
I will say this though, and it's not to you, just in general. If someone's hearing that and they're like, oh, my kid said it's fine. Pay attention to the signs that may not be fine. And they're just doing what I did, which was basically tell you everything is fine when it's actually not. Look for the signs.
Yes.
Grades, detaching from life, becoming introverted when they used to be kind of outgoing.
Behaviors.
Anxiety. What kind of behaviors are changing around them? Use your best judgment as their parent because you know them best. Are they worrying about this? Are they internalizing this? And they're just saying that they're not. Pay attention.
Our kids' behaviors can tell us a lot about our parenting style. Oh my God, yeah.
So here's what it looked like to me is I would say everything's fine. I can handle this. I don't mind you calling, all this stuff because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know what a boundary was. I was a child. But here's what it looked like, the behaviors. Truancy court. Basically, every 6 weeks, I was getting dragged in for truancy court because I wasn't going to school. My grades were horrendous. I graduated high school with like a 1.2 GPA.
You were doing drugs in high school.
Yeah, drugs and alcohol use in high school. If they'd have been around for 5 minutes, they'd have noticed that, right? Changes in behavior of any kind. You can look for these sorts of signs in your kids if you're around and you know. So if they're saying they're okay, what are their behaviors? What do their actions say as well? Has their friend group changed drastically? Do you have some shady characters now hanging around your house? It's always the quiet ones you got to worry about. The loud kid, you don't really got to worry about.
No, I like the kids that come and like, they'll just spill out their whole drama or whatever.
But either way, just pay attention to their lives. What has changed? Their behaviors.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to kind of discern if they're just saying they're okay and they're not okay, because they're probably going to say they're okay, but the behaviors. I'm not saying this like Sid's fine, but yeah, she's not dealing with like what I went through or what a lot of people go through.
No. And a lot of us might say, I feel like I know my child, I know my kid, I know them. But if you're not present enough, if you're focusing too much on your own relationship, you may not know your kids as well as you think you do. And that part is kind of a harsh reality that sucks that we have to look into and realize, okay, am I focusing too much on my marriage, or do I need to shift that a little bit more to my kids?
Mm-hmm. It's a sliding scale. It goes throughout your life.
Yeah, for sure. Don't make them pick sides in adult conflicts. Like don't say your mom and dad your mom or dad is ruining everything. It's better to just say something like, mom and dad are working through some things. Is there anything you want to discuss? Make it about them. That is going to be like all over this episode. It's about them and how they feel, not you and how you feel.
And I would say from experience, limit the conversations in general. Doesn't need to be a weekly or daily thing even. Man, it felt like every time something new happened in her life, I got the phone call. Every single development, every single response from an attorney letter, everything. I got the lowdown, every effing thing. And if I made myself unavailable, I was guilted.
Ooh, yeah, you were.
If I didn't want to answer the phone, I'd get 5 or 6 phone calls in a row and basically be told, as long as I pay for that phone, you answered that phone. You know, do you remember that?
It used to make me so angry because I'm like, a parent is not supposed to be calling your phone over and over and over again. Like, I'm like, that's something I would do as his spouse.
Oh, dude.
As your wife. Like, okay, you piss me off and I need you to answer the phone.
It's crazy.
And even then, that's wrong of me to do. And I don't do that anymore because I've grown from it.
This weird thing happens whenever you have this sort of relationship with your kids, when you've taken it too far, you're too close, is they become an extension of their spouse in some ways. And I got treated the same exact way my father did.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk to anyone the way that she talks to me or him.
How dare you hang up on me? How dare you not pick up your phone? How dare you not respond? You did.
Because I didn't know it, but I was allowing it because I was opening up in an area of my mother's life that I should have never been involved in. But I didn't know. I was a freaking kid. How are you supposed to know? And so, but once you do, you also take on the role of like almost like a boyfriend type thing. Crazy as that sounds.
That's the emotional incest. That's what that is. That's why I learned about this a whole long time ago, because I remembered these were red flags that were happening within y'all's relationship. And I was like, this is not okay. Something isn't right. I don't like this. This makes me feel really weird. I don't think this is appropriate. Dude, what are we doing? And you couldn't hear me because you weren't there yet. You were still so enmeshed in that relationship. And this happens with trauma bonds too.
Yes, it does.
Very common. We talk about trauma bonds in our program. That this is part of it. You become enmeshed with this person, and then it's very, very difficult to break from it because the ups and downs there's so many highs and then there's so many lows that you can't see it for what it is until you pull out of it for a while.
You will not notice it when it happens. It does. It's not like this feeling like, oh, I've crossed the line. It's a series of like testing the line over and over and over till at some point you've crossed it and you don't recognize it till it's long since passed.
Like, I knew it was weird because I was an outsider. And I was like, okay, this is not appropriate.
Yeah, for me, it was the only thing that was normal.
But for you, it was normal because that's what you had been dealt with for a long time. So, okay. And don't use your children as therapists. You know, don't go to them and say, I feel so alone. You're the only one who understands me. You're my best friend. Please don't do this to your children. It's better to say, you know, I'm having a rough time. I'm getting support from adults who can help me. And it's okay to be honest, but don't make it their problem. And I've been guilty. I say, like, my mom, she's one of my best friends. Like, we're pretty close, but not like this.
Well, not even
we were not.
You're also adults.
We're adults, yes. But
adults.
And we can talk about adult things, but we were not enmeshed in this point where it's like, she didn't make me her therapist. Right. She didn't come to me when she felt like she had boundaries, healthy boundaries with your children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. I don't want my kid to be my best friend, or I don't want her to think that I'm her best friend. She has her own relationships. They have their own relationships. They need to have their own, you know, friendships and problems and mistakes and things like that. I'm not supposed to be the person that they come to for everything. Not everything. There are some things that they don't need to talk to me about. They don't want to talk to me about. I mean, of course, I'm supposed to be their safe space and they can talk to me about some things, but not everything, you know?
Yeah. Just don't cross the line because you can't go back. You can't go back.
It's kind of funny though, because our kids are like, don't therapy talk me. So I kind of like, maybe I go to them as like therapy talk, but I'm really just guiding them and being a mentor.
That's just what they say when they don't want to hear good advice. That's all it is.
But don't make your children your therapist.
Yeah, they're not your therapist.
What we say about that. So how do we break the cycle and parent in a healthy way? So we've talked about this. Find other parents or other adults for support.
Number one,
speak to adults that are emotionally stable. Maybe people who have been where you are. Talk to a therapist.
Get peer support, get professional support.
Friendships where you can unload your emotions. And we're not talking about constantly unload your emotions, because we know what happens with that as well.
They'll pull back away too.
They will pull back because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's where you might want to recognize if you're venting too much or if you're taking action, figure out when that's appropriate. The next one's going to be let kids be kids. And in this what we're discussing, it means, you create space for them to have their own emotional experiences and their own friendships and their own problems, which is what I was just talking about. And just avoid dragging them into your issues and making them pick sides in adult conflicts. We've talked about us being honest about certain behaviors from others that have impacted us. And it's not about slander. It's about honesty in our experience, but age appropriate. So let them be kids. Let them learn too. Like I said, they don't know how to regulate their emotions yet. They do not have emotional maturity yet at all. I mean, I know many, many adults who don't have it yet.
If you don't get it,
you can't expect your kids to have it. We have to teach them that. And I talked about this recently, actually, in one of our calls, I believe, how children are a lot like addicts and alcoholics. They're very emotionally immature, and sometimes they will trigger us, and we'll think. And what we'll think is that, okay, they are just like my husband, or they're just like my wife, or they're just like this emotionally immature person in my life. Guys, this is normal for a child to act like that. It is normal for a child to react in anger and to throw things whenever they're pissed, or yell, or lie occasionally. Like, this is a normal part of their development. So it's our job to teach them not to do that as adults.
Yeah. And you've got to have those tools too if you're going to teach it.
But you have to let them be kids and acknowledge that, they are kids being kids, but also I'm going to teach them how to be better later on down, depending on age. The next one, you can teach responsibility without being a burden. So give them age appropriate responsibilities, but don't make them in charge of things that should be yours.
Like you run the risk here of a kid feels responsible for. They need to know that their value lies in who they are, not what they do for you or what they do for anybody
or anything. If
it becomes transactional in nature, where I only felt valued when I could calm someone else down, that's what I think my role is in life. And so I've had the lowest self-esteem forever. I've struggled with self-worth and self-love and a lot of other things because I derived meaning and value from my ability to help other people, and it's all it ever was. Finding balance, but it took 40 fucking years, You're
not 40 yet. Don't say that.
It's chasing us.
We were just talking about that earlier.
It's chasing us.
Matt's birthday's coming up soon. But it's not 40 yet.
Or we're there, we're there. It's taken almost 40 years.
Okay, well, we're just trying to slow down a little bit and take it day by day.
Just make sure that they know that their values and who they are as an individual, not necessarily what they do for you, especially. And I know that we don't mean to send the signal that your value comes from me, but whenever you show up time and time again, bringing them this sort of thing, and what you're wanting is validation, and the stuff you should be getting from adults or a therapist, peer support, or a professional, and they're providing it, they are going to tie the two together, even if you tell them not to. They're going to tie the two together. That's how it's going to work. I get reward, and that's the stimulus, right? It becomes this feedback loop in your mind that this is how I derive value. Comes from this reward that I get from fixing mom's problems or dad's problems or whoever's problems. You program it in them. You don't mean to, but it does. Make sure that they know their value is in who they are, their own decisions, their autonomy. Because another thing that'll happen is at a certain age, you develop this sort of dynamic and they try to go be autonomous and independent. It is going to be a bad day in your world and in your home. Bad. Because you're not going to want to give it to them. Because they are your emotional support blanket.
Yeah.
And the kid is going to want to pull away further than they ever have, and you're not going to know what to do and not even realize this has happened until it's too late usually. Yeah. I moved out when I was 18 years old, like as soon as I possibly could. And she didn't even know for like 3 weeks because she was never home.
Yeah.
She came home to an empty room. I didn't say a word. I wanted to get so far away from that home as fast as I possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that dynamic still exists. Like, I'm trying to get the hell away. I don't even know what healthy attachment looks like anymore. It'll fuck you up. Let's put it that way. I don't know another way to put it. It'll fuck you up.
Yeah. All right. And the next one is what you talked about earlier. It's just modeling healthy emotional regulation. Learn to manage your own emotions without relying on your child to soothe you. It's not their responsibility to soothe us. We're supposed to soothe them. We're supposed to be their safe space.
I know it's tempting because, like I said in the beginning, like, your support system is your support system. And it's going to include your kids to some degree. You have to decide what degree that is. You get to decide. You're the adult. You're the parent. Okay. Get support from other adults. Get support from other communities of people going through this. Do not rely on your children to validate you or to guide you or to offer you some kind of support. If you've got older kids in a moment of vulnerability, I'm not saying that you've screwed up everything. This is a repeated pattern over time, though, where it really becomes an issue.
Yeah. All right. So what do you do if you realize you've crossed the line? Like, if you're listening to this and you think maybe it stung you a little bit, maybe something triggered something within you, I want you to know it's not too late to make any changes. It's just not too late. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that
you're human like the rest of us.
Yeah, but what it does mean is that you have the chance to do better. It's that you actually have the opportunity to do better. Acknowledge it and make shifts to create a healthier dynamic. And you're going to want to repair and rebuild trust with your children. If you continue to do the same thing without taking accountability or without changed behavior, it's likely your children will probably stray away from you and not have conversations with you. Apologizing means a lot. It means a lot. We apologize to our kids a lot, but we make changed behavior with those apologies. It may not be perfect, but we still, every time we do something that we've apologized for, we make it right again, and we feel that sting, and we're like, ooh, okay, I need to do something about this. I did what I did before that I apologized for, but I'm going to continue to do better. And you can say something like, I put too much on you, and that wasn't fair, and that wasn't okay. I'm working on changing that. Have an open conversation with them.
Yeah, validate your child's experience and what they've been through. You don't know what it feels like to have that put on you at that age, to feel wholly responsible for it. And like the anxiety and like chronic stress that develops later in life, anytime that you sense a problem in somebody else. Accountability, I am the biggest believer in all time of it. I think it is an incredibly healing thing that you can give someone else. Who better to give it to than your children or your spouse if you're listening together? Accountability heals so many wounds, man. Just seeing someone else's experience and not just saying it. Don't just cognitively understand it. Feel it. Empathize with it. Truly understand what it must have been like in their shoes in that moment, to go through that, to be burdened with that, to feel it. Acknowledge that. Just acknowledging it alone is incredibly healing. It alleviates so many of the, the resentment symptoms or symptoms of resentment, I guess you could say. All the little, like, the issues that you might have with a parent after they've done something like this. Just acknowledge it. Truly acknowledge their experience and what that must have been like.
Well, if you have a child who comes to you and says, well, this is what you did this in my experience, and you say, no, I didn't. I don't remember it that way.
Worst thing you can do.
Don't do that.
Don't avoid accountability. This is based on my own experience. Don't do these things. This is what my experience has been like. Don't say, I did the best I could. I had it worse than you. You should have been like me when I was a kid. You had nothing compared to what I had.
Be grateful.
Completely minimizing the experience of your kid. I know you had it tough, but you're a parent. You got to grow up and deal with this stuff. You can
own
get
your
support.
shit again.
Yeah. Take accountability for it. Don't try to minimize it. Don't try to explain why you did it either. That's not what we're here to do. Your kids are smart. They know why. Okay. They understand why. If they had to deal with this stuff at a young age, they have put the pieces and the puzzle pieces together on emotional development and emotional intelligence long before you ever did. Okay. So they know why. Just acknowledge that they went through it. Do not try to blame someone else and say, if you had been in my shoes, you'd have done the same thing. Or if you hadn't have acted this way, I wouldn't have been so hard. None of those things, right? Just acknowledge and validate their experience. Let them know.
And ask them, what can I do to make this better?
Yes. And be receptive to whatever they say too.
Right. And say, I'm sorry. And there's no buts. No, I'm sorry, buts. That is not taking true accountability. And it's just kind of making excuses for how you made somebody feel. These are your kids.
Yes.
You know, if they have something, if they have an experience, let them speak and take it to heart, because they may remember something that you don't remember.
Again, like not just taking accountability, but then changing your actions. As we talk about here all the time, actions are everything. So stop talking to them about it. Stop going
venting.
there with it.
Stop venting. Mm-hmm. That's not their responsibility. You know, talk to an adult.
I grew up, as I got older, I became like almost envious of kids that had parents that were like, that could offer them advice and support. Like what a gift it must feel like that whenever you're going through something, you can call your parent and ask, what do I do? Or this is what I'm going through, without it becoming about them, without it being, their show. Like, I can't imagine what that's like to have a parent that you can call and just talk about whatever it is that you're struggling with. It must be the greatest feeling in the world. Like, I always felt like there were families out there that kind of existed. This is why I'm obsessed with like the Northeast. I've told you about this before, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I always felt like people had their shit together up there. Maybe they don't.
It's just the images that
the images in my mind, maybe it's like all the Ivy League schools and stuff, but like parents that cared about their kids' education, parents that were like mentors to their children, parents that could like teach kids how to process through things. Like, that is fantasy to me. I'll never know what that's like. You take that from your kids when you decide to take up this relationship.
But you can create that for your children. And I think that is even more important than because you can't change the past. You can't change what you were born into, but you can change the trajectory of your children's lives.
Back to our last episode, if you haven't listened to it, about breaking cycles.
Yeah, that's what
we're doing.
This is. This is just more in depth about that. This is what we're doing. We're breaking those cycles and helping you avoid these situations. And if you've already had them, you can still change them.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to become the crazy person in your kid's mind. You don't. They need you. They need you so bad.
Yeah, they do. Get
the help you need and be there for them.
They need to come first in the way that they're feeling about stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just kind of wanted to throw out some reflection questions that people can have if you want to journal about it. I always like to do that sometimes, or I sometimes like to do that. I always like to do that sometimes. Yeah, that makes sense. So ask yourself, do I rely too much on my child for emotional support? Write about it. See if there's something. Even if your children are older, you can ask them these questions too. Like, did I do this? If you're willing to hear it and you're willing to make changes, yeah, I think that's a great opportunity to ask them. Like, can you explain to me what I did? Did I do this with you? Did I rely on you too much for my emotional support? I think that would be a great growth opportunity for you and reflection. Another one can be, how can I take responsibility for my own emotions and let my child just be a kid? So what adjustments can you make? What can you do going forward? And then, do I allow my adult children to have boundaries? Do I allow them space to be themselves, or is it all about me and my needs?
Yeah.
That even goes for younger children too. Your children, they need you, but also they need their own independence as well. We need to encourage the independence of our children. They are not an extension of us. They are individuals.
My favorite thing to watch in the entire world is our kids doing things independent of us.
It's so amazing.
It's amazing.
We used to, and I try to be big on this, is let them do things on their own without. I want to encourage them to ask for help, but I'm also big on them doing things on their own so that they can build confidence in themselves. And we used to. What you would do is you would watch the kids go up to the concession stand
from a safe distance. I could see them. I would send them to the concession stand on their own and have them order on their own and like get change on their own. Like have those conversations on their own. Like, oh, we're out of Blue Gatorade. What kind do you want? Without looking up at me going, huh?
Yeah.
They would have to figure it out.
I
loved watching them and the way their minds would work and then just take charge of their own lives. Like, that is the coolest thing in the world as a parent to see.
But what's crazy is that we have one kid who loves the independence of doing stuff like that. And we have another kid who's like,
rather someone else do it forever.
I don't want to do that. And that's the one I have to push a little bit harder.
You're going to have to learn.
They got to learn a little bit. And that's kind of complicated for a parent too, because you're like, oh, I just want to do things for them and I need to be there for them to do these things. But the best gift you can give your kid is to allow them independence and to learn things on their own, because that builds up confidence. That helps them realize what their values are. And that helps them realize that whenever they get older into relationships, they can figure out what they do and do not tolerate based on the confidence that you have allowed them to have and their independence.
Yep.
So it all trickles. It's all a ripple effect. It does impact them as adults. How they are as children will impact them as adults.
Yeah, we'll probably expound upon this further at some other point.
I like talking about parenting, but sometimes I've said this a few times,
you could be eating your words.
We have not, our children are still young. They are 10 and 12. But based on our experiences and what we've dealt with our own childhood, I feel like we know what might work and what might not work, but we also are aware that things that we do may not work. So we can change our minds at any time. And it's just not something that I've discussed too much because I don't know how it's going to work out. Yeah. But I think it's an important discussion to have based on our experiences.
For sure. Yeah.
And what we know and what we've read and our research that we've done.
Yeah, I hope you're able to take something from it and not beat yourself up too bad either. Listen, people going through a lot of stuff are going to reach out for support in any way they can get it. Just make sure that you're reaching out for appropriate support from the right people, appropriate people. That's why communities exist. If you get community from us, that's beautiful. We've got an online one. We've got Independently Strong, an even better version of that. There are Al-Anon meetings, there are CODA meetings, there are Facebook groups full of people that are going through things. What?
Nothing.
Well, I'm just saying, get it somewhere. Whatever you do, don't give it to your kids.
Yeah, no, we have a support group. It's great.
I think ours is the best. Is that what you wanted me to say? By far?
Yeah, I think that some support groups are great, but I do believe that some are can be damaging. There are actually some children from certain programs, like their parents were in certain programs, that realized that it probably wasn't the best idea for their parents to go to those certain programs or support groups, because it did keep them stuck in a relationship that affected them in different ways and as children growing up. So that's why I'm very hesitant to send people to certain support groups. But then again, I want you to be able to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And that's important.
Yeah, more than fair.
I've got a gray area here.
Talk to other adults. Let's start with that.
Yeah, talk to adults that have been through it. And you are one. And I do know that your parent, one of your parents at least, did go to one of these programs.
I believe it. Yeah.
And based on some of the things that have been said, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Heard that before from somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's all we got for this week.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope it's helpful. I hope it wasn't too triggering or jarring. I know it's tough stuff to hear, but that's what we're here for. We're here to challenge you.
Yeah. But that's one more thing I did want to say is that, you know how we talk about shame with addicts and alcoholics and how it drives change. If you are a parent and you're listening to this and you feel this and you may feel the shame, it is to help you use it as fuel to make changes. And it's not too late. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad parent, but you can make changes now. And that can be very powerful and very empowering.
Yeah. Oh, I had last thing on shame. I had breakfast with a friend today that I hadn't seen since his wedding. We went to his wedding and he looked great. He's lost like 70 pounds or 60
he looks
pounds.
amazing.
He looks incredible. I was like, what was it? He said, I went to a friend's wedding about a year before I got married. And I saw a picture of me and I was so disgusted and so embarrassed that I woke up the next day and said, this shit stops today. So as much as we want to shield people from shame, it serves a purpose. Fight me on it. I'm never going to back down from that.
Agreed. Yeah. I did the same thing and it always fuels me. It fuels me. Sometimes it makes me spiral down at first. And I think that that happens, but then I learn from it and I use it as fuel.
It's part of it.
It's part of going through it. Yeah.
There's an amazing person inside there that can do anything that they want in life.
Yeah, for sure.
So don't ever internalize it. Use it as fuel. If it's going to be there, you might as well use it for something useful.
Absolutely.
Use it as fuel. So,
yep. And we got you.
That's all we got. Till next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.